Ed McMahon with my favorite DJ, Jimmy Deele. Here's Jimmy.
Hello, everybody. Of course, I'm Doc G. I got Jimmy Deele with me, and I don't know if you can call him an icon, Richard Young from the Kentucky Headhunters, a band that was amazing in the 80s. Music was amazing.
90s.
Okay.
We're still doing it 53 years later.
Wow.
Welcome to the Jimmy Show.
Welcome to the show. I appreciate you being on.
All right.
So excited to have you, Richard.
Guys, we started in 1968 with, we had a band called Itchy Brother, and we live on a 700-acre farm in south central Kentucky, and my grandmother bought an extra 100 acres to add on the farm, had this quaint old farmhouse, and people wanted to rent it, but she didn't want to do that. So her two grandsons, who is me and my brother Fred, decided that, we start this band with our cousins, Anthony and Greg, Greg Martin and Anthony Kenny. And she got this great idea that said, oh boy, I could let them move into this house and I wouldn't have to hurt my people's feelings wanting to rent this house. So we actually moved into it, not to live, but to rehearse, obviously, in 1968. And I did an interview the other day, and a guy said we lived in a house. And he thought we actually moved out of our parents' house and moved into the house, but it was not quite that way. It was actually, our parents lived down the road, and our mom and dad were not music people who would, follow us around, but they were musicians. But when I said we lived in a house, I meant we rehearsed there all the time.
Oh, so that's so great. Now, you guys were just kids when you started, right? Pretty much.
We were. Yeah, we were. I think Anthony and Fred were 11, our cousin Anthony and my brother Fred. And I think I was 13 and Greg was 14. And, wow, great picture. I hadn't seen that for a while. Yeah, that was from New York City, the Meat District. We actually started then. And by 1971 or 2, we were getting, I guess because we had a landing strip, we had a place to go to, we were getting pretty good at our trade. And down in west of us is a place called Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is not far from Edmonton, where we live.
Right.
And that was kind of a nucleus of the college scene for Bowling Green, Kentucky. And people were enamored by bands like Trapeze, Roy Gallagher, which we both saw both of them. And, all the great bands were coming through there because the big promoters in those days would bring them to Bowling Green, Kentucky, because they were, it was a startup for them, and especially the English bands like Trapeze and Roy Gallagher and good Lord, whoever. So we got to see all those bands at an early age, which really influenced us. But really, our heavy influence came from, living on the farm. And back in the day, where we were from is, nowadays they have big combines and all this equipment that move farm feed and that sort of thing. But in the day, it was like, you had families that own farms, some white, some African American, and folks would get together and they would actually have, get together and put in the crops. Like it could be tobacco, corn, or whatever, and they would move to the next farm and put in the other person's farm, crop.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it was a really congenial thing, but at the same time, we were able to be a part of that. and we would get down, like especially the tobacco. When we were cutting tobacco, Kentucky's a big tobacco state,
Mm-hmm.
and we would go down on the farm. And being kids, we got the junk job, which was dropping sticks, which is
Mm-hmm.
actually one of the hard jobs because you got to put like 40 tobacco sticks on your shoulder, which are, one by ones or whatever. And you walk down the row and drop them so the big cutters could cut them.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, you have blisters, blood blisters on your shoulders, and that sort of thing. But during that time, when you got all these different type of dialects of people together, you had people wanting to sing Jerry Lee Lewis. They would sing Johnny Cash, Jerry Elvis, or it would be also the African American people would be singing gospel spirituals.
Oh,
So
okay.
we got to experience all that by being
Nice.
kids, and we soaked it all up, like a sponge. And at the same time, we'd go down to we had cattle on our farm for milk cows, and there were guys who milked the cows on the farm, and my brother and I especially would go down, and they had these little cans of this stuff called Prince Albert tobacco.
Uh-huh.
Which was do you remember that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little red can,
Uh-huh.
with Prince Albert on the front. But
I
my
remember.
brother and I would actually go down there and ask him to roll us a cigarette, doing this, and our parents would have killed us if they'd known that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was actually right across the road from. When I say road, I mean like an old gravel road.
Right.
We didn't have. It's a very quaint area there. Actually, our parents. There was a horseshoe road that ran through our parents' farm, so obviously, it's very, very private and that sort of thing. But those guys would roll us a cigarette, and we'd sit there and we'd hear things like country music, like Lefty Frizzell and Hank Williams. We really weren't into that much because, we were into English rock and, the Stones, the Beatles,
Yeah.
Right.
later the Led Zeppelin and Cream,
Mm-hmm.
all those bands like that. That was our forte. That's what we listened to. And we always thought we would be an English rock band, which was geographically impossible because we were from Kentucky. So, ain't no way. But anyway, it because of all those different kinds of dialects of music, we were able to, I guess, create some sort of unusual style by living in that old farmhouse and rehearsing that sort of thing.
Wow. You guys opened a lot of clubs, right? You played a lot of clubs and bars in the Kentucky area there?
We did, actually in Bowling Green, Kentucky, which was 45 miles from us. There were, it was somewhat of a catalyst for the early 70s rock and that sort of thing. A lot of bars, opened up there because they had Western Kentucky University. And it was one of those places where, you had everybody wore, flannel shirts and blue jeans and shot pistols and all this stuff or whatever they did. But,
Right.
it was a real early Southern scene. And you had bands from Capricorn Records coming in,
Nice.
or all labels, especially Capricorn, from the Southern rock genre.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just kids, so we would actually, I don't know how we did, but somehow or another, I guess we gotten good enough in the area that people realized that there was something special with us.
Right.
And we get to go to the Yellow Hydrant. I'll never forget. It was a bar called the Yellow Hydrant. It was on the Chitlin circuit of the Southern rock scene. And we would get to go there and open for bands. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we must have been 12, 14, 15.
Wow.
And of course, you couldn't go in the bar because, you remember those days.
Sure.
you remember how it was. It's like so those great rooms that are in all areas. And thank God some are few are still around.
Right.
But we would get to open because we happened to be quite good, I guess, at the time.
Right.
But we couldn't stay there. Our parents would drive us because none of us have driver's license.
Mhm.
And yeah, I was too young, And so we would open the bands. I remember we played with Charlie Daniels and
Wow.
Outlaws, bands that were just getting started.
Yep.
Of course, we were too young to even get started.
Mhm.
And, it was a great experience. But we couldn't stay in when they were playing because we were too young. We weren't 21, so we couldn't stay in the bar. So we would step outside and peer in the windows and that sort of thing, and watch people that later we would tour with and become friends with, but also were influences.
Oh wow. Itchy Brothers. Where did the name come from? Itchy Brothers.
Ah, yeah. Itchy Brother. So Anthony and Fred were so young when we started. We were still eating like cornflakes on Saturday morning and watching cartoons.
Right.
And there was a cartoon called King Leonardo and Friends. I'm sure a lot of people remember it. And it had Odie Collodi, King Leonardo, Itchy Brother, and Biggie Rat.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you look that up, you'll see it. But when we first started, Fred and Anthony, my brother and my cousin,
Right.
they would not leave on Saturday mornings to go up to the practice house to rehearse until they saw King Leonardo and Friends and other cartoons.
Oh,
So we
okay.
thought it was appropriate to name the band. King Leonardo and Odie Collodi, who was a skunk. King Leonardo was a lion in the cartoon, and Odie Collodi was a skunk. And then he had a brother that was like kind of scraggly,
Right.
and his name was Itchy Brother.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that works.
He had a sidekick named Biggie Rat, was kind of like a rat gangster, so to
Oh,
speak.
okay.
But we thought, well, that's a pretty cool name, so that's where that came from.
So awesome. First, I want to say congratulations on the brand new album. That's a fact, Jack. Tell us about the album. Tell us how you put it together.
Wow, amazing. Last year was not a great time for music, period, or the world at large. And we had all this V monster thing going on, and it's still going on. But please protect yourself. But at the end of the year, we had only played out of 70 something shows. We'd only played like 8 shows, and 3 of those were actually drive-in shows where you drive into the area, just like the old days when you had the drive-in movie theaters, that
Right.
sort of thing. And so people devised a way where you could actually have people drive in and pay $25 and everybody gets in the car or something like that. And we did 3 of those. The rest of them were some shows that lasted, but most of our shows actually transferred over to this year, which was crazy because we had those shows plus the new shows.
Right.
It was great, but I think that probably, it was a good thing in all that we were able to do some of those shows and be able to, I almost forgot what you just said.
Oh, I just talking about the brand new album, how you put it together. I know you got 11 all new, brand new songs, and each member of the group actually wrote the songs. Tell us more about that. How you guys?
Oh,
put the
I
album together.
apologize. I got off track. I was talking about
That's okay. No problem.
about the touring, that sort of thing.
That's all right.
Well, it's come February, March of this year. As I said, a lot of our dates moved to the to this year, 2021, and unfortunately, in February and March, people who had moved their dates to this next year go, oh, we still got this COVID thing, so we got to move to the next year
Right.
or to later in the year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here we are sitting here in February and March, and we're kind of like, well, what are we going to do? So we actually just talked amongst each other and said, listen, let's just go in the studio and do a new album.
Nice.
And a lot of people have been doing online things and all this. We didn't get into that. We wanted to do something solid as a record. And which no offense. I mean, it was great that they did it, but we didn't get involved in that. So we wound up doing going in the studio late February. And I'll be honest with you guys, we didn't get to go rehearse. We didn't get to jam on songs in the old music house or anything like that. We just walked in, and I'll be honest with you, the first day of it, it's like our brains were mush because we had been away from each other for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
We couldn't talk. We could talk, but we couldn't walk together.
Mm-hmm.
So it took about a day for us to get rolling. But once we did, it was like riding a bicycle. And we started coming up with ideas that we'd all put together over the past year and that sort of thing. And, voila, 3 days later, we got all the tracks for an album and we started mixing it.
Great.
And it was really fun, guys, because as anybody in the music business will tell you, we really needed this. And things had happened in the year before with not just the COVID, but we were in somewhat of a funk people-wise. Everybody was kind of like off track and that sort of thing with our society.
Yes.
Yes. And so it reached out and touched us, individually because, it was not a good time to have something like that going on because we were all just trying to survive as people and dealing with something that none of us had ever seen in our lives in our time. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think the last time maybe was 1918 when we had the crisis with health. And so it kind of got under our skin both ways, not just politically, but because we're apolitical. You never want to be involved in politics in the
absolutely 100%.
I have no reason to be involved with that.
Right.
We all love and vote for whoever we think might be right, but stay the hell away from being involved in that sort of thing. And that's what we did. But also at the same time, we were affected by the COVID disaster. And I think this album really, when we went to the studio, we actually said to ourselves, look, we don't know if we're going to be here next year. Where this stuff's going, who knows? I mean, for God's sakes, it was like we've never seen anything like this in our generations.
No.
And we thought to ourselves, listen, let's go in and have some fun. If we never get to tour again, we never get to play again, let's make a statement. And I think that we did with this album.
Well, it's happy music.
It's happy, but it's also says get your shit together.
Exactly.
I think, which it should have, and that's not our nature because the Headhunters are always party, have a good time. And, all of a sudden we got backed into a corner where we felt like, well, we've always been a bunch of pussies, so let's just say something this time. We did.
That's great. Wow.
And I think people counted on that.
Sure. You guys also did a cover of Rick Derringer's Cheap Tequila. Tell us about that.
Oh, we love Rick. Great. Well, like everybody else when we were all kids in the 70s, we had the album American Boy, right? Oh, Jesus, you put me on the spot. I can't
Is that
remember.
the one with Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo?
It had Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. It had Cheap Tequila on it. And anyway, that was a great album.
Mm-hmm.
A great debut for him as a solo artist.
Mhm.
And we had the album. We loved it. Now, my brother Fred has always loved that song. And, of course, our good friend Johnny Winters did it. And he did a more bluesy version. And Rick did the a little more pop rock version. Not don't say I said that to him, but we thought we would find it somewhere in the middle. And actually, Fred wanted Greg, our guitar player, to sing it because he kind of had a Rick Derringer style voice.
Mm-hmm.
And Greg wanted to do Shotgun Effie, which was a song he wrote the lyrics about our grandmother in 1972-3, and we recorded it as our first single with Itchy Brother.
Wow.
And so Fred said, well, hell, I want to do that song. So Fred came up with a version of it. We know musically we all did,
Mm-hmm.
but the vocals, I find it tremendous because to me, it's the way Fred sings. He's a very much a stylist, but he came across like it was almost like Ian Anderson and David Bowie doing doing a Rick Derringer song.
Right.
It really felt good to me, but it's like we've had a lot of notoriety from it, and a lot of people really dig the song. And we're trying to find Rick, by the way. We know him, but all of a sudden we can't find him. We talked to Billy Gibbons the other night. We're trying. Billy loves that version of it, and we're trying to find Rick. So, Rick, where are you? Tell your wife to call us.
Doc G, what do you have for Richard?
I wanted to ask you, like the song "Dumas Walker." I mean, that's you're known for that song. Is that about a town in your area? What is that song about?
No, Dumas Walker. When we were kids, y'all, like the -- early 70s. Yes, I told you we started in like 68 with Itchy Brother, and and we had the old farmhouse. About 1974, 3 or 4, we started venturing down to Dumas Walker's, which you got to realize something. In Kentucky, we live right almost on the state line, about 40 miles, and we never had fireworks or alcohol. And I think probably they thought we'd get drunk and blow ourselves up or something. Never had it, so it's pretty funny. But our parents used to take us down there when we were kids because on July 4th and also Halloween, you know how kids used to get out and shoot fireworks and all that stuff. And our parents would take us down there. And Dumas was a famous mumbly peg player, which is marbles, shooting marbles.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so his trick was when kids would come in there to buy fireworks, he would shoot marbles and he would actually intrigue them to come back to buy fireworks from him. And, of course, later he'd intrigue them to come back and buy beer or whatever because it was dry in Kentucky. And so you get fireworks and beer down at Dumas Walker's. Wow. And as we grew older, obviously we got driver's license. We sneaked down there. Our dad, we had a couple of milk barns on our farm where people milk cows and that sort of thing. And people would come and we would go down there and our dad would have us go down there to pick in Edmonton, which is where we live, to grind cow feed. And we ground this cow feed, but while they were grinding it, we would sneak down to Dumas Walker's and get a couple cases of Stroh's or Pabst Blue Ribbon or whatever it was and sneak it back. And we put it in an old practice house course, we pick the feet up and we hide it under it. And,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
on the weekends, if we didn't have a sock hopper, a show, or whatever when we were kids, then we'd have our buddies over and we'd drink a few paps or whatever. And
Cool.
but that's the whole gist of that story was. It was about a guy who was a marble champion on the edge of Tennessee who influenced us by going down there, but also there was a place called the Greasy Spoon Restaurant in Greensburg, Kentucky,
Mhm.
and we used to get gigs opening for when Exile was a rock band. We used to go up to Club 68, which was a famous club before I-65 was built, and that's where Ike and Tina Turner got discovered and signed.
Oh, wow.
But it was the 68 was the road that went through Kentucky, and it was all the great bands like R&B bands, blues bands. You know, everybody from BB King to Ike and Tina to you name it. You know, the Louie guys, whoever, they were all playing there, and we used to play and go open some of those bands, and we would drive home. It was about 60 miles, and our grandma's bought us an old bread truck, and we drive home. But we would stop in Greensburg, Kentucky. There was this restaurant there called the Greasy Spoon. It was open all night, and it had a slaw burger, fries, and a bottle of ski.
Ah.
So that coupled, let's go down to Dumas Walker's, get some firecrackers, get some beer, that kind of thing. But it's like, you know, you couldn't sing "Let's All Go Down." The guy that owned the Greasy Spoon, his name was Adolphus Enos. And you couldn't say "Let's all go down to Adolphus Enos." It just didn't sing right. So we named the song "Let's All Go Down to Dumas Walker's."
Yeah,
Right.
it was good.
Now, when you guys put that album together, picking on Nashville, they almost didn't add that record right away, right?
Say what, sir?
When you put together the album, picking on Nashville, they almost didn't put Dumas Walker on the album right at first.
Exactly. I was just with Harold Shedd, who wonderful, wonderful guy who gave us our first opportunity. Actually, you know, we were guys when we got out of high school. Capricorn Records, they brought us down to Georgia, and were grooming us to be, you know, this new band on Capricorn Records because we'd already been playing so much with people that they realized something was going to happen. And it was right when Jimmy Carter got elected president. So everybody was more interested, especially Allman Brothers and people like that, into going to White House and hanging out than doing albums or, you know what I'm talking about. So
Yeah,
it was a different scene.
Right.
And also we get back to the old nasty word political. But I think that probably they moved us down to Atlanta, Georgia, and we were living, you know, down there and playing bars. They were grooming us to be on Capricorn, and needless to say, eventually the label kind of did a dip, and right after that, we were down there. It was in '77, and Ronnie Van Zant and the Leonard Skinner boys had a plane crash, and we kind of looked at each other the next day and went, you know what, this ain't gonna happen, boys. I mean, the flagship had kind of fallen, and so we came home, licked our wounds, and about 8 or 10 months later, we actually ran into a guy named Mitchell Fox who worked for Led Zeppelin, and actually, it's funny how it happened because we were snowed in at Mom and Daddy's house down on the farm, and we started saying, you know, it's time we look for a new, like, we got to find a new record label and all this stuff. And we started sorting through albums. You know, that's how ignorant we were. And we found Swan Song Records. And we said, there's a label for us. let's do this thing. So I don't know how in the world it worked out, but Friday afternoon, you know, nobody's at a record label. And if you ever later we went to Swan Song and we met Helen, who was, if you can imagine, Colonel Clink's secretary. That was Helen, and Helen was when you went up in Rockefeller Plaza and
Mhm.
the doors opened to their suite for Led Zeppelin. Is Helen was sitting there. Nobody got past Helen. Nobody. But it happened to be a Friday afternoon at 6 o'clock. Nobody there. And Mitchell, our friend and still our great friend and manager for 28 years, was walking out of the office, same age as me, 21 years old.
Mm.
And he answered Helen's phone. And I guess I gave him a line, but he came to see us. And, you know, he came to Louisville, going to see one show, and he wound up staying 3 days, fell in love with the band, and took tapes or whatever back to Swan Song. Everybody in New York loved the band. Said, we got to get this to Peter and Jimmy. You got to get them signed.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so anyway, we were like on top of the world because, I mean, all of a sudden, a bunch of little Kentucky boys, you know, had a chance to be on Led Zeppelin's label.
So awesome.
It's crazy stuff.
Yep.
But Mitchell went to England, and there's a book out called Peter Grant, uh, Rock World's Greatest Manager or something, Led Zeppelin Beyond.
Mhm.
But it talks about this whole thing that just happened. When Mitchell went over to England to play the tapes with Peter, he got to the house, which is probably a castle or whatever.
Mhm.
And he could hear Peter walking around. Peter wouldn't come down.
Mm.
So it's in the book. And so finally, Peter calls him and said, I need you back in New York. Go to New York. But anyway, when Peter Grant passed away, there was a fish bowl. He said, leave the tape in the fish bowl. There's a huge fish bowl. And when Peter passed away, they found like U2, Motley Crue, the Headhunters, the Itchy Brothers, all had some tapes that he never listened to.
Oh wow.
You know, but it is what it is, you know.
Mm.
But it's a very interesting story, but it's actually, you know, documented in Peter's book. So, but if somebody would have told me in 1970 something that we were going to put an album out in country music and it was going to blow up, I would have laughed them out of the room, boys. I really would have. I just would have because we grew up on English rock and blues, and it's pretty amazing that a small window opened up, and because we were doing a radio show, we had our own radio show called the Chitlin Show.
Mhm.
The word got out about that, and it actually was blowing up, and you know, we were just ready to get the sponsors and bring BB King or whoever on, and
Mhm.
word got out in Nashville about this band in Kentucky doing this. Because in 1986, we were getting ready to do another swap at the rock thing with the Itchy Brother, and our cousin Anthony had just gotten married, and we were just playing weekends, 3-day gigs at that point. He had a steady job, and he didn't want to make the move, and we actually incorporated Doug Phelps into the band, but we couldn't see doing it as Itchy Brother with one member missing
Mhm.
family after those years, so
Right.
we changed to Kentucky Headhunters.
Oh wow.
That's how that name came about.
So awesome.
Anyway, between Capricorn, Led Zeppelin, then we wind up on Mercury Records, you know, and made a couple country albums that, you know, obviously, eventually people looked at us and go, okay, they sang a country band. What are we gonna do here? So, because we got to get guys with hats back in the team, and we didn't have hats, so Thank God we were able to meet people like Keith Richards, who got us albums with Johnny Johnson. Those people, it's just a whole lot of things went down that saved our lives.
Wow. You also did some work with Toby Keith's record label, right? Show Dog Nashville. Didn't you guys work on that a little bit?
No,
Toby Keith's record label. Toby Keith.
no. Actually, I produced a band. On occasion, I will produce a band that
Mm-hmm.
outside of the Headhunters to help out because I'm a producer and writer.
Oh, nice.
And I did do an album for a band, and I got him a record deal with that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I
So
wanted to ask you.
the main thing, I mean, I should tell you guys, besides doing the Headhunters, I always tried to help people along that sort of thing. But you may have heard of a band called Blackstone Cherry.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Sure.
That's my son's band.
Oh, wow.
And 20 years ago, they moved into the practice house, and I got them started, and they they went overseas and became huge. Of course, America, unfortunately, y'all, we don't have the rock radio we used to have, and they're still good over here. They do great over here, but they're but before COVID, them and Guns N' Roses had 120,000 people at a co-headline show. So I'm very proud of their success, my son's success, the band's success. And then just recently, 3 years ago, or 3.5, I found a band called the Georgia Thunderbolts, who I found them they were opening for us in Rome, in Georgia. They're from Rome, Georgia. And I said, to myself, after Blackstone Cherry, I never figured I would ever find another band that would excite me enough to, really push myself to make them successful. And these guys, I met them after the show, and I said, because I'll be honest with you, I was sitting on a bus, and the window was open, and these kids started playing. I said, wow, we better turn the steam up a little tonight. Because they were good.
Right.
And then the singer opened his mouth, and I said, gotta go. And I went out and sat and listened to him. And after the show, I said, what are you guys going to do with this? I said, oh, we're going to be lifers like y'all and Blackstone Cherry. So let's go.
Wow.
So I did an album on them, got them a record deal with the same people that work with Blackstone Cherry. And they're doing quite well. I'm very proud of them.
Well, I wanted to ask you,
Richard Thunderbolts.
Richard, you got to send me that music, or tell me how to get their music. I wanted to ask you about your Grammy nomination for Picking on Nashville. That was really an awesome thing. They really liked that record very, very well. That was in the 90s, right?
I guess so.
Can you tell us about that?
Hey, we're so backwards, man. We never really got into the business for the awards and that sort of thing. But yeah, that was a big honor. It really was. And hey, listen, Greg, our guitar player and cousin, has a funny joke. He says nobody really cares. They just come to hear Dumas Walker and Fred's drum solo. And which is partly true, I guess. But that was a great honor because we went from being, this little bar band that had after 20-something years of having a little bar band, had a radio show, and we were already had Picking on Nashville, our first album cut, and we were selling it out of the trunks of our cars or whatever at the radio show or whatever, and then Mercury Records signed it, and it came out, and it changed our lives.
Wow!
It exploded, and all of a sudden here we were, this bunch of guys that struggled all their lives to become something, and this opportunity happened to us, and it was a bit earth shaking, to be honest with you, because You know, and we were so down to earth and calm, or we had a foundation, and all of a sudden it uprooted, and we're going out on tour with Hank Williams Jr. and 20,000 people and all this crazy stuff. And so it was a bit of a whirlwind, I will tell you. And but I wouldn't take anything for that period of time. But what it allowed us to do is finally become widespread enough that people heard the name, they knew who we were, the brand, and we were able to move ahead and do albums with people like Johnny Johnson, Chuck
Nice.
Berry's pianist, and that sort of thing, and continue to make records. Boys, we've lived a charmed life. We get to play rock and roll.
Absolutely. I remember when you guys did BB King's here in New York City. BB King's show house here in New York City on Times Square.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, all the people from Roadrunner Records that signed my son's band, we picked a bad time to play there because we only sold out one night, but
Right.
one show. Normally, you got to sell two. I sell two at BB King's. But it was so much fun, and BB's he was a great friend of ours, and he really pushed our music for us.
Right.
And I remember when we did some kind of award show for guitarists, and we gave this award away, and they asked BB, because we were hot stuff at the time, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
BB said, "What do you think about them Headhunter boys? All they're fresh and they new and they hot." I'll never forget that long.
Wow.
But we the next night we went up to Toad's place. You know where Toad's place is in New Haven, Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And that's where the Stones rehearsed for years, doing things, open shows. But we went up. We were supposed to play there the next night. We had a night off, and we went to see BB, and we got to hang out. That was our first meeting with him.
Wow.
But our whole life's built around blues music.
Right.
And so to be able to hang with BB a couple of days was really, really cool. And as I said, when we went Johnny Johnson, thing of it is there's the Headhunters before Johnny Johnson and the Headhunters after Johnny Johnson.
Right.
And it really changed. Actually, the guys that play on Conan O'Brien actually coined that, but his band, but that's the truth, man. I mean, those guys just Johnny, BB, Freddie, Albert King. I know we saw Albert King when we were 15. I was 15. We didn't have a driver's license. We went to Exit in Nashville. Funny story. And we didn't know any better. And we went to the bus, knocked on the door, and the valet came to the door and he said, "What y'all want, kids?" And I said, "We want to meet Albert King." And he said, "Well, he's tired now." And Albert said, "Tell them boys, come on up." We sat and we talked for an hour.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
So cool. What about Roy Rogers? You guys got to work with Roy Rogers. What was he like?
We played with Roy Rogers. Hey, never say work. Nobody work is a bad word in the music business. Because
you guys are having fun.
Nobody works in this business. It's
Exactly.
right.
It's
If you're working, you're doing it wrong, right, Richard?
No, it's a freeloader's life. But
no, but if you're working, you're doing it wrong. You got to love what you're doing.
Exactly.
Hey, there's no such thing as work in this business. But yeah, we did. Yeah. I guess when we were hot stuff back in the early 90s, they did Roy Rogers' last album, and we got to sing the lead track with him, How the West Was Won. And, I remember being a kid, just like we were saying about, when we were watching King Leonardo Friends, later that day, like 11:30, Roy Rogers would come on,
Mhm.
Oh wow.
and Trigger and Pete, and and the show, and so all of a sudden here we were singing with Roy Rogers. It was freaking amazing, boys.
Wow.
Incredible.
How do you account for that?
Amazing.
You can't
Amazing.
top that. You can't top. Were you ever on Hee Haw?
No, but I think we've been. I think we've been great.
You would have been great for him. I mean, come
I'd
on.
love to
Oh,
be
yeah.
on y'all.
That would have been great. You know,
You know-
in 2005, you guys did an Elvis song, right? Didn't you do Big Boss Man? Big Boss Man?
Well, it's Jimmy Rogers. Jimmy
Right.
Rogers.
Elvis did it a little bit later on.
Yeah, Elvis did it. Yeah, that was a great, video. I mean, thank you for bringing that up. A lot of people don't know about that, but we actually did a video for it, which I think is off the chain.
It is. Absolutely. I saw it.
Yeah, but we've done a lot of things that people are not really, and the masses are not familiar with. But also Louisiana Cocoa, which we shot actually in the meat market in New York
Mhm.
at Hogs and Heifers, the
Oh,
bar.
great. Yeah, I know it.
Oh yeah. Michelle Dale owns that,
Yes.
and so I guess that they did a takeoff of her place of for the other TV show or whatever it was.
Mhm.
And Michelle called me and she said, "Y'all get your butts up here and they're gonna do a video about my place." And she furnished everything, and we came up and we paid for the course of trip and all that. But we brought the camera crews and all that. But we did that Louisiana Cocoa. So people never seen that. That was shot at Michelle Dell's place, the Hogs and Heifers
Wow.
in New York City. And it was a spiff off of Coyote Ugly. Because I guess,
Oh, nice.
yeah. And we won't go into that, but I guess the director kind of visited with him and decided he needed to do somewhere else, and which we know him too. He's got a farm in Kentucky, but anyway, Michelle was great, but the Louisiana Cocoa, we have a tendency to be old men. I don't know why we do it, but we have a tendency to have some beautiful girls in our video.
So great.
We're ugly as hell, but I mean, it's like we have a tendency to always have some pretty exciting video. And you know what? It's kind of sad now because people don't put videos out like they used to.
Mhm.
And now we're doing these lyric videos, and they're kind of fun. We're doing some for the new album, that sort of thing. But I miss doing those bigger videos because, the Headhunters were quite good at it. We were not only could we be musicians, but we were almost like the Four Stooges, and we could act. And I miss getting to act in videos, that sort of thing. Yeah, I really do. But touche, we got a bunch of them.
Doc, what else do you got?
People out there need to research all the other videos. Everybody's familiar with Dumas Walker and some of those other videos, but there are some pretty cool videos that we're doing, like Louisiana Cocoa, Big Boss Man.
Great video.
Check them out.
Work Together. Things that were done, Work Together was a great video. That was a shot at Sturgis, South Dakota.
Oh, okay.
And I'll never forget, it was scary because they built a aluminum stage and all the bike gangs were there. And it was a lot of tension,
Right.
And one bike gang wanted to bring dynamite out and shoot it off. I remember that. It's pretty scary. We weren't bikers, so a lot of people think we rode motorcycles and stuff like that. We just drive John Deere's,
No, but Richard, a friend of mine, Chuck Walton in Florida, wants to know. He wants to tell you a comment. He loves your version of "Spirit in the Sky."
Oh, great!
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. We were. I'll tell y'all a story. We were in a bar playing when we first started, in Roanoke, Virginia, and we actually jammed on "You Keep Me Hanging On," and we jammed on "Spirit in the Sky." And it seemed like Spirit in the Sky came more to life for us because we didn't have the organs and all that. But we loved Vanilla Fudge.
And we just had Carmen a piece on here.
Yeah.
No, we got to play with them. Hey, listen.
Awesome. Yeah.
We got to play with Vanilla Fudge,
That's awesome.
Nice.
Queen, and a couple other bands. We should talk about this. But
talk about it. Yeah, you got time.
Vanilla Fudge, we loved, and one of those other bands we listened to, which were big friends with Zeppelin, that sort of thing.
All right.
And but Norman Greenbaum's "Spirit in the Sky," we jammed on it. It was Long Branch. That was the name of the bar. And we jammed on those two songs. And for some reason or other, "Spirit in the Sky" just cemented. And it wound up being on our second album, But, I just started flying, y'all, about in 2016 because I wouldn't fly for 34 years.
Really?
And I was with my dad on a Ferris wheel, and it stuck in the air for like 6 days or something.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It's a fire, but local fire. But I think I had something to do with it. But my son, John Fred Young, who's in Blackstone Cherry, said, "Daddy, y'all got to go overseas. You don't understand." Of course, they were huge over there. And he said, "Dad, you got a whole nother life over there. You got to go. I mean, in your late days in America, you're doing, things, but also in Europe, you're still perceived as the cat's meow. So you got to go." Well, they kept aggravating me. So finally, you know how you do when people go, they aggravate you so much, you finally just say yes, hoping
You just go say yes.
Okay, well, forget about it.
Just to get rid of
it
it.
didn't happen. So they called me, John Fred called me, and he said, "Dad, you ain't gonna believe this. We got you on this show called Sweden Rocks in Sweden, which covers all of Scandinavia. And you guys are going to be there, and you're opening for Queen and Vanilla Fudge and a couple of things." I'm like, oh gosh, I got to get on an airplane. So I started sweating, but anyway, we went. It was terrific. And before I could get home, I was in Denmark, getting on a plane. He said, "Dad, we got y'all on the Ramblin' Man Festival in England with us. You got to come over. We're going to have y'all, one of the opening bands for us." So I said, "Well, if we're going to go over there, let's go over there and play some other days." So we wound up playing 8 shows in some great rock clubs, famous old rock clubs. It was great. And we've been back 3 times since then. And so I'm overcoming my fear of flying. And now the UK and Scandinavia finally got to see the Headhunters.
So awesome. And you got a lot of tour dates coming up soon, right? You guys are very busy.
Yeah. Now, as I said, man, we got one more show next week in Corinth, Mississippi. And then we're going to do something very unusual. That's unusual for the Headhunters because Bill Monroe, who actually he and Jake Landers wrote "Walk Softly on This Heart of Mine," which was a big single for us. First, it blew us up. Start with for Dumas Walker, and Bill wanted us. Yeah, obviously he's making a bunch of money, so he wanted us to be on the Grand Ole Opry. And Roy Acuff said, "Well, I think them boys are pretty cool. And they're nice guys and all this stuff, but we need to get them a haircut before they get on us." We wasn't going to do that, and so we're getting ready to play on December the 4th. We're getting ready to play the Grand Ole Opry.
Awesome.
We've never been on it because
what an
long-haired dudes. But times have changed,
Yeah.
And Roy was great. I actually ran into him. I used to write songs at Acre Rose Publishing Company as a sideline. And this little old skinny guy with bow legs came down the hall with cowboy boots and a jacket on. And he stopped and he said, "Who are you, boy?" And I said, "Well, I'm Richard Young, sir. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Acuff." He said, "Well, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I'm trying to write some song." And he said, "Well, if you're going to work here, you're going to get a haircut." Never forget that long I live. So it transcended over to later when the Headhunters hit. He hadn't changed his mind, and God bless him for it. You know, he stuck to his roots. He's still a redneck. But anyway, you know, we're going to be on there December the 4th, first time in our lives.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Well,
congratulations.
that's what everybody says. You know, my son likes don't share. Dad, this is so great. This is so great. But we've been like, oh God, don't put us on there. We'll get killed. No, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be us and Susie Bogus. Ricky Skaggs gonna be on there, who's a
Awesome.
friend of ours. So it's gonna be fun. Del McCory's gonna be on, a great bluegrass guy, and we're gonna be on with some cool people. So you know, why not? You know, after 40
Absolutely.
years. Actually, Jesse Dupree from Jackal and my brother Fred and I wrote a song about never getting to play on the Grand Ole Opry called The Party. You guys should check that out. You would enjoy it. So I guess now that song doesn't really exist as a reality because I'm going to be on the Grand Ole Opry. I'm the one guy that hadn't been on the Grand Ole Opry.
That's incredible, though, Richard. That's
what the hell? Let's do it.
What's left, right? What's left?
Yeah, man.
So many accomplishments you've done.
Hey, listen, being from Kentucky, we should be honored just being on there. That's true. But I've always been the holdout.
And your pride. You're very humble. I can tell that. You're a humble person.
Well, yeah, we are. And we're very honored to be doing this. But it's like, I always kind of like this. Okay, I didn't have to be on the Grand Ole Opry to be in rock and roll. But I guess I am now. So I'm going to turn it on, boys. Trust me.
Right. I know you will. Jimmy, do you have any last questions?
No, for all the tour dates coming up, too, people can go to KentuckyHeadhunters.net for all the information.
.com.
Is it .com?
Better.
Really?
Yeah,
.com is better? Okay.
better. .net is kind of like a side view.
Oh, okay.
Well, they're the same thing, but
yeah.
But you know, I don't know where that .com came from. I think somebody created it or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? When you're in a band, anything can happen.
KentuckyHeadhunters.com. Check it out. All the tour dates are there. And Doc, any parting shots for
Yeah,
Richard Young?
Richard, can you do us a favor? Can you? Billy Gibbons did us a little sweeper for Jimmy's show and the station.
Sure.
I pride myself on playing rock and roll, like you said, the old rock and roll. It's not played anymore because people either forgot about it or the DJs that used to play it died. So
they should not have.
Right. I feel like I bring that back. So what you need to say is you're who you are, what you're banned from, and you're listening to the Jimmy Deal Show on Hamilton Radio.
Spell the last name.
You could
good.
You could do DEAL. That makes it easier for you.
Jimmy Hill?
Jimmy Deal. DEAL.
I got it right here.
There you go.
Are you ready?
Whenever you are. You're listening to Hamilton Radio too. Go ahead.
Listen to what now?
Hamilton Radio, my radio station of 25 years.
Hamilton Radio.
Yeah.
Y'all, I'm going to tell y'all something. Since it's COVID, it's about fucked me up. My mind's cloudy.
I know.
Now tell me one more time.
Hamilton Radio. You're listening to Hamilton Radio.
I won't get it right.
You can take as much time as you need to say. I'll help you. Go ahead.
I hate to be such a fucking dunce, y'all, but I'm telling y'all what, stuff's great.
That's all right. It's Jimmy.
What else I need to say though?
You could just say you're listening to the Jimmy Deal Show.
Yeah, you're Richard Young from the
Kentucky Headhunters, and you're listening to the Jimmy Deal Show
on Hamilton Radio.
On Hamilton Radio.
Easy.
Well, all right, brothers and sisters. It's Richard Young, Kentucky Headhunters, and you listening to the Jimmy Deal Show on Hamilton radio. Get on it and love it. It's a good thing. I'm on it. They on it. Rock and roll, hoochie coo.
Oh,
And
so
Black
great.
Cherry is going to be on it. I need that music.
I just want to make sure I got it right.
No, you got it right. Sounds great.
Fantastic.
Awesome coming from
Fantastic.
you.
Thank
Awesome
you so
coming.
much. What an honor
No,
to have
guys,
you on.
thank you. I got to tell y'all something. Is I got to go skin a deer.
Yeah, we just put
No,
down.
my brother-in-law just killed a deer. I'm fixing to leave and go skin a deer, and we're in the middle of deer season. But
Okay.
they're waiting on me to skin a deer. So
Go ahead. Go enjoy it.
Man,
We'll have venison
guys,
for the rest of the year.
I've enjoyed this so much.
Oh, I'm glad you
Normally
did.
I don't do late evenings because I drink beer, but I've had so much fun with you guys.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, Richard.
No,
What an
hey,
honor to have
guys,
you.
Pleasure,
Please
Rich.
keep in touch.
Absolutely, will do.
Okay, have y'all got my email?
I do. I have your email.
Okay, please keep in touch because very few of us left, boys.
Absolutely. Thank you again. I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
God bless
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
Best to you.
All the
All right,
best.
same to y'all. Bye now.
Thank you now.
All right, Jimmy.
Wow, a legend.
Legend right here. I mean,
That's it.
awesome.
Kentucky
Who's coming up?
Headhunters.
Who's
All right,
coming up?
Monday, Jersey Jack, the pinball guy, is going to be here. Pinball machines he's done all over the world. He just did one for Guns N' Roses. He's going to be here, an old friend of mine from Canarsie, Brooklyn. Also, Studio 54, DJ Robbie Leslie's on the way. American Idols, Lauren Massetti's going to be here. We have Celebrity Spotlight with Giada Valenti. She's going to be here doing a Christmas show with us.
Mm-hmm.
Elvis Presley's cousin. We're going to do an Elvis birthday special. Joey Smith's going to be here. A lot of great people on the way. Let's see who else. The radio chick Leslie Gold. We have Mike Dupree, who's a friend of Doc's. He's going to be here.
Mike's a good guy.
Let's see. Jack Jones will be here. He wrote he sang the theme to The Love Boat. And a friend of mine, Wesley Walker from the New York Jets, is going to be here. So we got a lot of cool people on the way.
Awesome.
So stick with us, and we'll let you know who's coming on the show. And thank you so much for listening. And it was such an honor to have Richard on with us tonight, the Kentucky Headhunters. What a legend, and an honor to have him, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful to have him here. And everybody have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next Monday.
That's right. Happy Turkey Day, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye. Hold on, Jimmy. Okay. Do you want to say hi?
I'll say hi, but I want to know if you can help me make the skillet upstairs.
Oh, I'm just saying goodbye to Jimmy.
Okay.
Hey, who's that, Danny?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, Danny, what's up?
Hi. I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you? How you doing?
Good. I am staying busy and efficient. My boss is closed Tuesday through Saturday this week, but I'm going in tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And Wednesday to make up hours, basically.
Oh, all right. That sounds
And
good. How you
she's
been?
getting-
Everything good?
Yeah, I'm actually good. I'm working with Paula.
Not ending.
I'm working with one of my
Don't talk too much,
friends
'cause
named
it's not
Paula,
broad-
and I
broadcast
just
is
want to
not
let you
ending.
know there's a lot of stuff going on right now.
Hold on.
so-
Don't talk too much because it's not ending. I
Okay.
can't end the broadcast. It won't end.
We're on the air forever.
It's not letting me end the broadcast. I don't want to say too much because it's all going,
Okay.
you know.
Well, okay.
So I'm still trying. But anyway,
Anyway, DJ Danny, so great to see you.
Nice to see you too. I hope to see Carrie on your show sometime.
I hope so. I'll see what I can work. You never know. Every day is like a miracle, right, Doc? I don't know.
It's
We'll
every
get
day
on
it's
this.
like you're alive.
Jimmy, I'm just trying to go with Kelsey Ballerini right now and Kane Brown.
Oh, I met
can
Kelsey. Kelsey's a great girl, man. I had a meet and greet with her. I guess I don't know when she did Jones Beach. What a cool girl.
Yeah, she's very sweet. Paula worked with. Well, she knows of her. But Kane Brown is my favorite country artist.
Yeah, I saw him also at Jones Beach. I think he was there with her, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't meet him though. I met Kelsey.
Probably. No, Kane is amazing. But yeah,
So-
it's awesome. I can't wait. I'm so excited for next year. She's giving me big name people, and I'm just like, I'm on a waiting list. What am I supposed to do? I have to
Cool.
move everyone. It's insane. But
I know.
All right, Jimmy, we got to go because the connection's not ending.
So we're still on the air. Okay, everybody.
Not everything. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good
Absolutely. We'll see you Monday with Jersey Jack and
Jersey
by
Jack.
DJ Danny and Doc. Thank you so much. Have a great
happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thanksgiving.